He didn't need gold to be feared. He didn't need to kill to win. He just needed fire, smoke, and a beard that burned. In an age when the oceans belonged to empires, one man claimed them for himself. His real name was Edward Teach, but the world came to know him as Blackbeard, the most feared pirate to ever sail the Atlantic. His story isn't just about plunder and powder. It's about image, power, and a final stand that became legend. Edward Teach likely began life in Bristol, England, around 1680. Not much is known about his youth, but by the early 1700s he was sailing the Caribbean. He served as a privateer during the War of the Spanish Succession, attacking enemy ships on behalf of the British Crown. But when the war ended, thousands of skilled sailors were left with no work, and many, like Teach, turned to piracy. Teach joined the crew of Benjamin Hornigold, a respected pirate captain, and quickly gained a reputation for boldness, intelligence, and ruthless efficiency. When Hornigold retired in 1717, Teach took over the fleet and rebranded himself as Blackbeard. He began wearing long black coats, wide-brimmed hats, and tucked lit matches under his beard during battles to give the appearance of a man wreathed in smoke and flame. His ship flew a fearsome flag, a skeleton holding an hourglass and a spear, symbolizing death and time. He wasn't just a pirate, he was a master of psychological warfare. Soon after, he captured a large French slave ship called La Concorde. He refitted it with 40 cannons and renamed it the Queen Anne's Revenge, turning it into one of the most formidable pirate ships ever seen. With this vessel, Blackbeard terrorized the Atlantic coast from the Caribbean to the Carolinas. He raided merchant ships, seized cargo, and left his victims trembling. At his peak, Blackbeard commanded a small fleet and a crew of over 300 men. His name alone could empty a port. In 1718, Blackbeard orchestrated one of his most infamous acts, the blockade of Charleston, South Carolina. He cut off all sea traffic to the city, held hostages, and demanded a chest of medical supplies. Charleston complied, and not a single shot was fired. That was Blackbeard's genius. His image did the work for him. His violence was selective, his strategy deliberate. Despite his fearsome reputation, Blackbeard wasn't reckless. He avoided unnecessary bloodshed and often used diplomacy to get what he wanted. But he could be cruel when crossed, and his alliances were built on fear and convenience. He eventually grounded the Queen Anne's Revenge near Beaufort Inlet and accepted a royal pardon from North Carolina's governor. But this uneasy peace wouldn't last. Other colonies, especially Virginia, still saw him as a threat. Governor Alexander Spotswood of Virginia launched a covert operation to eliminate Blackbeard. In November 1718, a naval force under Lieutenant Robert Maynard found him anchored at Ocracoke Island. Maynard used a clever ruse, hiding his men below deck, before springing a surprise ambush. In the ensuing melee, Blackbeard fought like a man possessed. He was shot 5 times, stabbed over 20, and still kept fighting. Only when he finally collapsed did the battle end. His head was cut off and hung from Maynard's ship as a warning to other pirates. But the legend of Blackbeard had only just begun. But Blackbeard's death only made the legend grow. Sailors whispered of his ghost roaming the Carolina coast. Locals claimed to see lights flickering over the water. Blackbeard's lantern, forever searching for his lost treasure. Some even say he cursed the man who took his life. To this day, no one has found his hidden hoard. And maybe that's the point, because Blackbeard's greatest treasure was never gold. It was fear. And fear doesn't sink, it sails. The making of a pirate king. Before he was Blackbeard, young Edward Teach knew the sting of sea salt and the crack of canvas in wind. Before he commanded ships, he scrubbed their decks. Before he inspired terror, he learned its taste. The sea was a cruel master, but Edward proved a willing student. He absorbed the languages of the Caribbean, the secret harbors where ships could hide, and the weaknesses of imperial navies. He studied the men he sailed with, their courage, their greed, their breaking points. In the floating world between empires, he saw opportunity where others saw only waves. His apprenticeship under Benjamin Hornigold wasn't just about learning to raid ships, it was about learning to lead men with nothing to lose and everything to take. Men who respected strength above all else. When Hornigold offered pardons to his crew, many refused. They followed Teach instead, sensing in him something primal, something unbound by the laws of land. "A pirate's life is short," Teach once told his crew during a storm that nearly capsized their sloop. "But a remembered life is eternal." He studied the legends of those who came before him, Henry Morgan, Bartholomew Roberts, and Bonny. He knew their stories traveled faster than their ships ever could. So when he transformed into Blackbeard, it wasn't just a name change. It was the birth of a character designed to become legend. The strategy of terror. Blackbeard understood what kings and admirals often forgot. Perception creates reality. To defeat an enemy before battle begins, that was true power. To make men surrender without drawing your sword, that was true conquest. When the Queen Anne's Revenge approached a merchant vessel, the sight alone was often enough. 40 cannons aimed at your hull, a flag promising death. And at the helm, a demon with smoke rising from his beard, his eyes reflecting firelight like coals from hell itself. "It's not the cannon they fear," he once told his quartermaster Israel Hands. "It's what they believe I'll do with it." His crew knew the truth. For all his fearsome reputation, Blackbeard preferred to take prizes without bloodshed. Dead merchants couldn't spread tales of his terror. Dead sailors couldn't whisper his name in ports from Nassau to New York. He preferred theatrical cruelty, making men believe they would die, then showing unexpected mercy. The stories would spread, growing with each retelling. In one infamous encounter, he invited the captain of a captured vessel to dine with him. They ate fine food, drank expensive rum, and discussed philosophy as equals. Then Blackbeard asked casually if the man had a family waiting. When the captain nodded, Blackbeard smiled and said, "Then you should return to them," before releasing him and his crew unharmed, but relieved of their cargo. The captain later wrote that dining with Blackbeard was like breaking bread with the devil himself, charming until you remember whose table you're at. The Kingdom of Ocracoke. After accepting his pardon, Blackbeard established a base at Ocracoke Inlet off North Carolina. This narrow passage between barrier islands offered protection from storms and prying eyes. Here, in this liminal space between land and sea, he created a pirate kingdom. Ships would arrive under cover of darkness. Merchants looking to buy stolen goods at discount prices. Smugglers with information to sell, former pirates seeking the protection of his name, and sometimes government officials looking to negotiate or to spy. Blackbeard's relationship with Governor Charles Eden of North Carolina remains one of history's great conspiracies. Some claim Eden received bribes to look the other way. Others suggest their arrangement was more complex, Blackbeard providing intelligence about Spanish and French movements in exchange for safe harbor. Whatever the truth, this uneasy alliance couldn't last. Empires don't tolerate kingdoms within their claimed territories, even ones hidden in coastal shadows. The final battle. More than a skirmish. Lieutenant Maynard's approach to Ocracoke wasn't just a military operation, it was an assassination mission. Governor Spotswood of Virginia had offered a substantial reward, £100 for Blackbeard dead, considerably less for him alive. The message was clear. The night before the battle, witnesses claimed Blackbeard drank with strangers at a bonfire on the beach. "I know who's coming," he reportedly said, "and I know what they want." When morning came and Maynard's ships appeared on the horizon, Blackbeard could have fled. The Queen Anne's Revenge was gone, but his smaller sloop Adventure could have outrun the pursuing vessels. Instead, he chose to stand. "If this is to be my time," he told his crew, "then let them remember how a pirate faces death." The battle that followed has been embellished over centuries, but even the confirmed facts are extraordinary. Blackbeard's ship ran aground in shallow water. Maynard's men were hidden below deck. When Blackbeard and his boarding party leapt aboard what seemed an undermanned vessel, they found themselves surrounded. In the close-quarters combat that followed, Blackbeard fought with a fury that shocked even hardened naval officers. He broke a sword against one man's skull. He continued fighting after pistol shots tore through his body. Blood soaking his coat, he cocked a pistol to fire at Maynard himself when a sailor slashed his throat from behind. Even then, he didn't fall. "He's the devil himself," one of Maynard's men shouted as Blackbeard swung his blade despite catastrophic wounds. It took 5 gunshots and over 20 sword wounds to finally bring him down. As he collapsed to the deck, witnesses claim he looked at the sky and laughed. His final words, if he spoke any, went unrecorded. Legacy in blood and ink. After the battle, Maynard ordered Blackbeard's head removed and hung from the bowsprit of his sloop. The body was thrown into the waters of Ocracoke Inlet, where legend claims it swam 3 times around the ship before sinking into darkness. The head's journey wasn't finished. It traveled to Hampton, Virginia, where it was displayed on a pike at the entrance to the harbor, a warning to any who would follow in Blackbeard's wake. But over time, weather and birds reduced it to a skull, and eventually it disappeared. Some claim it was stolen by admirers. Others say Governor Spotswood kept it as a macabre trophy, using it as a punch bowl at exclusive gatherings. In death, Edward Teach transcended humanity to become something eternal. A story told in taverns, a warning whispered to children, a costume worn at festivals, and ultimately, a symbol of rebellion against authority. His actual deeds became less important than what he represented: defiance against empires that claimed to own the seas, the treasure that never was. For centuries, treasure hunters have searched the coastlines where Blackbeard operated, convinced that somewhere beneath sand or sea lies a chest of Spanish gold, silver from Peru, jewels from India, the accumulated wealth of a pirate king. Yet historical records tell a different story. When Blackbeard died, his personal effects were modest: some coin, a few gold buttons, a silver cane. The fortune many expected never materialized. Some historians believe he spent his wealth as quickly as he acquired it, investing in bribes and luxuries rather than burying it. Others suggest he divided it among trusted allies before his final stand, ensuring his legacy would continue even if he fell. But the most compelling theory might be the simplest. Blackbeard's true treasure was never material. It was the power of his name, a name that could clear harbors, command respect, and ultimately achieve immortality. Today, more than 3 centuries after his death, children still dress as Blackbeard for Halloween. His image appears on flags, t-shirts, and rum bottles. Museums display artifacts allegedly connected to him. Movies and books reimagine his adventures. Few remember the governors who ordered his death. Fewer still can name the officer who claimed his head. But everyone knows Blackbeard, because legends never die. They evolve. They inspire. They sail on through time, carried by the current of human fascination with those who dare to live beyond the rules, those who claim freedom at any cost. In the golden age of piracy, many men terrorized the seas, but only one became immortal. Only one still makes us look twice at strange lights over dark waters. Only one still whispers to us that perhaps, just perhaps, the greatest treasures aren't what we bury, but what we become in others' eyes. Enjoying the journey through history? Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community of history enthusiasts. Don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell us what you think, share your favorite historical insights, or suggest a topic you'd love to see us explore. And if you know someone who would love diving into the past, share this video with them. Let's uncover history together.